Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the T55A. It's a Tier 9 German premium medium tank, the reward tank. It's located on the north spawn of Mountain Pass and it's under the command of Jamie2006. Yes, he sent me another one and he's actually got a teammate, Sonic Blaster, in platoon, and he's also got a T55A. Now, this is the reward tank you get for the third set of premium or personal missions. It's basically the Soviet battle tank that was developed during the 50s to be their main tank, and they built over 100,000 of these. A lot of them were stored in fields somewhere in Russia at the moment, probably going to be taken out of storage and used. Okay, it's armor 100mm gun. It's capable of doing 320 alpha and penetrating 221mm with standard AP. And with the premium rounds, the 8 heat rounds, it will go through 323s. Found a Ferdinand. Easily punches straight through the frontal armor, and Sonic Blaster's getting good shots as well. This could be a kill. It is. Okay, he's turning around because he wants to deal with the enemy tanks. They're going up the ice road. There's a huge number of them making their way up, and he needs to put some punishment on these guys. Puts around into the Progetto, couldn't put any more in. They were moving too quickly, and now we've got the T54 first prototype. Yep, that guy there. The slab-sided version, which is basically an upgraded T44. They eventually made it into the T54 and then the T55 eventually afterwards when it was nuclear proof. Now this one's on the German tech tree, but technically it is a Soviet design made in Germany, the German Democratic Republic. This guy is, oh, and he's out the game there. Second kill for Jamie. And Sonic Blaster's got a kill now as well. I think he got the T44. Okay, well, the pair of them are now going to cause havoc in the enemy rear, because most of the enemy have actually gone up the ice road and they've kind of neglected the cap area, and that means now there's probably a couple of enemy tanks just ahead of us, but and Sonic Blaster is staying with Jamie, but he's been spotted. Ow, took a round from a brass. Remember, that guy's got 2 shots. And oh, we just took around from a Panther 2, and that hurts well because that was 300 hit points, but we're still in the game and still got a decent amount of damage to do to the enemy. You know, that Barask is now reloaded and he's just sitting around the corner unless he's dived over the edge. And now that TP realizes the trouble they're in. The Barask did dive over the edge, and Sonic Blaster's gone to deal with him whilst we're dealing with the 53 TP. And Sonic Blaster got the Barask. Probably lost a few hit points. Ooh, that hurt. That was a 50 TP. Just fired a big round into us. Took 487 off us. Now, we can't afford to have too many more of that, but he's going to be reloaded very shortly. Sonic Blaster's coming back to help. We hit the armor. And the 53 TP's gone down, so now we can hit this guy hard. Get one into him, get behind him. Sonic Blaster can come in from the other side. He needs to get into him. That's 2 shots in. Now we grapple with him. Finish him off if we can. He's bounced one round. And there's the kill shot. Now there's one other enemy coming in. It's a K91PT. Also another reward tank. And he's now being punished. Double teamed, you could say. Lots of damage going in, and he's out the game, and there's now only 3 enemy tanks left. 2 enemy tanks left. They just lost the Cobra on the ice road, and that means now all they've got left is the Type 61, a Japanese Tier 9, and the M40, M43, who must be back at the tap. And there's the Type, and he did get 190mm round into us for 326, a high roll. We can't afford to let him do that again if we can help it. Is he going to try and get us? That was the M40, M43. Kill shot. Yep, got him. So that's 6 kills now for Jamie. He's got a top gun. Now it's just the M40, M43. He's loading an armor piercing. He doesn't want to waste money. Thin armor on the M40, M43. And the kill shot goes to the Kanonen Jagdpanzer 105. And he finishes the game off. And that was a nice little victory with a lot of damage there to Jamie. Well, that was a very quick battle, but it was an ace tanker game for Jamie2006 in the T55A. He managed to get a fire for effect for doing more damage than hit points to his own vehicle. Master Gunner for getting 5 armor penetrating shots in a row. He got a duelist for taking down 2 tanks who damaged him, and a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he got 9. He got a Hand of God for surviving the battle, having received damage from 4 different enemies. He got the High Caliber for dealing the most damage in that game, and very effective double teaming with his platoon mate, as well as a Top Gun for getting at least 6 kills. He ended on 6. He could have got 7, but the Kanonen Jagdpanzer wanted that kill for himself. 8,533 was the win 8. Super Unicum standard. Let's have a look at team score and see where he is. Well, the highest damage was 5,027 hit points of damage, and the second highest scorer was Sonic Blaster, who had 3,382 hit points in his T55A. Third highest damage in the game went to the Batchat 25T AP, the tier 9 French medium tank. At least I think it's medium, yeah. And when it came to kills, yep, it's Jamie with 6. 3 kills went to the Kanonen Jagdpanzer. That's probably why he wanted that last one. It would have been nice if Sonic Blaster had got that last kill, because that would have given them brothers in arms instead. But unfortunately, yes, they were denied by the Kanonen, who probably didn't realize or look at the scoreboard to see who was doing what. When it came to base XP, yep, it's Jamie. He got highest with 1,395. 1,015 went to Sonic Blaster, and 961 went to that Kanonen Jagdpanzer. He fired 19 rounds in that game, got 19 direct hits on the enemy, but only 18 penetration, so 1 round didn't pen the target. But I think that was the one that bounced off the, was it one of the tanks that he hit? He fired one in, it bounced off. 5,027 hit points of damage, all of it done at close range. 7 hits received from the enemy, 4 of them penetrated, 3 non-penetration. The armor is pretty good on the T55A from the turret upwards, but from the hull, it's not so good. And you are vulnerable to getting hit in the front plates of the hull, and that's where he kept on getting hit as well. 1,470 hit points of damage blocked by armor. 2 enemy vehicles spotted, 10 enemy vehicles damaged, 6 killed, 353 hit points of damage assistance. He earned 75,831 credits in the game, but he did fire a lot of heat ammo because he needed the pen to up against those enemy tanks. But he did actually make a loss for the game of 69,489 credits. But the fact is that he did do a lot of damage, and he was the winner at the end of the game. He did score the medals. 2,092 XP, 105 for this being a premium vehicle that you are rewarded with, not a buying one. So you get less XP because of that. And 2,197 experience points together. I think it was a very good game by this platoon. These guys knew what they were doing, and they really did play the enemy very well, because they were double teaming the enemy. And this gun is very, very good. If you can double team the enemy, you're doing 740 hit points of damage average every time you blast a round in. And yeah, that can really tell on the enemy, especially if you're doing it double teaming. So one goes in, takes a shot, pulls back, the other one takes a shot, pulls back, and then it's repeated again. Rinse, repeat, and you can take out enemy tanks in no time at all. As you saw, they got rid of that Ferdinand very, very quickly indeed. Anyway, very effective game, very well done by Jamie2006. Let's have a quick look at the armor profile again, because I think it's healthy to actually remind you how good the armor is. You can see from the collision model, but the armor is mostly on the turret, but the hull is fairly weak. If we go to the live view, you can see again, yeah, the hull is incredibly good. very nicely rounded. In fact, it was only on the later models, after they had a lot of development work, that they got rid of the slab-sided turret and actually went to this rounded cast one, which is much like the IS-3 and the other tanks that they developed from that point onwards. In fact, there's a lot of design cues that actually came out of the Object 140, which were placed into the T55 and the T54 in the end, and they have various models, but the later models all incorporated these ideas and made this tank as effective as it was. So it was a scary tank for the NATO allies, because it was very difficult to kill. Of course, later models, they were a little easier to kill because obviously there was development by NATO. But you can see this turret is still very strong, and this tank is still in operation around the world, and the Russians still have an awful lot of them in fields in storage. So more than likely, quite a few of these will be put back into action, but probably put back into action and given to friendly nations more than anything. But anyway, let's have a quick look at the modules so you can see that. And the unfortunate news is that there isn't a module map for the T55A, but there is a module map for the T54. So if I go to that one instead, so you can actually see what the T54 looks like, then it's basically the same vehicle. And I'm looking at that now, and I can't see it, so it must be on Tier 9. Am I right? Tier 9, T54, there it is. Same vehicle. There it is. Okay, it is basically the same vehicle. And if we look at the module map now, we can see the driver's on the right-hand side. That was where most of the shots were going in. The driver kept getting hit. Fuel tank's on the left-hand side of the vehicle. This is where you should be aiming, either to get the fuel tank or that ammo rack, which is directly behind it, because if you can hit that, you can blow the tank up. The gunner is on the right-hand side of the tank. Not what you'd normally have. They'd normally be over this side with the tank commander behind, and the loader is on the left-hand side of the tank as well. And he's got an ammo rack around him. Now, we've seen some other tanks recently which have got the same configuration, where they actually do have an ammo rack around the loader so you can shovel the shells into the breech. I think it was on the Object 244 we had that configuration. The radio is actually behind the tank commander in the bustle. We've got the engine at the back, but instead of the fuel tank being either side of the engine, it's actually in front of the engine. So basically, the fuel tank is in the center of the tank, and we got a fuel tank up front. Now, the thing about fuel tanks is that if you're using diesel fuel, and the Russians or Soviets were using diesel fuel, under certain circumstances, it can act as armor, because it can block the effect of the heat round as it goes through, so long as it doesn't set fire or the tank self-seals after the round's gone through, then it will try and block the shell, or it would act as a blocking shot. In fact, the British did consider using fuel tanks as armor in some of their vehicles. So they put the fuel tank up front, and that would block some of the shells that were coming in from the front side of the vehicle. But I think it's been considered, but I don't think it was actually put into practice on some of the later NATO tanks. Most of them have the conventional layout where the fuel tanks are actually nearer the engine, and therefore there's less distance for you to pipe the fuel down to the engine. It's much easier to have the fuel tanks right next door because there's less piping involved. Anyway, that's the modules for the T55A. Hope you enjoyed that replay. It was very brief, but it was a very good game by Jamie and also his platoon mate, the Sonic Blaster. They're from different clans, but they certainly do play very well together. In fact, I highly recommend people playing this tank in platoons because it's got very strong armor, makes it very effective, and you can act as a tag team, almost like using Batchat Rask as a tag team. You can do that. In fact, with 3 rounds of Rask, you can be very, very effective. So worth considering doing that with one of your platoon mates. Take a really OP tank out and have fun. If you enjoyed that video, please give it a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And thank you for watching.